Okay, guys, I want to apologize in advance if you hear my son in and out. I am at home and I am trying to get this video done, so I apologize. So I'm gonna be talking about Minoru Yasu's article. I'm gonna be introducing him first, who was Minoru Yasui. He was born in the U.S. in the United States on October 19th, 1916, in Hood River, Oregon. While being an American, he was also Japanese, so essentially a Japanese American. While living in Oregon, he earned his law degree at the University of Oregon to later become one of the few Japanese American lawyers in his time. We can easily understand how him in this time, in the early 1900s, mid 1900s, him simply being Japanese during this time could have caused him many problems. And we are going to learn of those problems. The two persuasion seeking rhetoric usage in the article that had the most impact on me were the way he argued his point of view and the way he aesthetically organized his paper. Yasui argued for himself as a Japanese American and the Japanese culture having just as many rights, and the laws against their culture were unfair and unjust. Throughout his paper, he seems very angry, but in the most calmest way possible. His intelligence, brightness, compassion, and knowledge showed through his carefully chosen words. So, the beginning of the article, he talks about Pearl Harbor. During this time, Japan attacked the U.S. fleets. The U.S. Pacific Fleet, Pearl Harbor. It caused a great deal of commotion, deaths, and led to the declaring war with World War II on Japan. Um, their goal was to destroy battleships, aircrafts, other naval assets, and overall just the U.S. Pacific Fleet. So during this whole thing, Washington fell into a panic, and they came about the public proclamation on number 3. Under this proclamation, there was a curfew for all the people on the West Coast who were Japanese of the Japanese ethnic origin. They were being removed from their homes into camps. They were angry with the Japanese and what they did, and they were taking it out on these Japanese American U.S. citizens and descendants. So with that came about the Executive 9066 order, which was signed off by President Roosevelt. And again, this led to evacuations, removings of the Japanese descendants and Japanese Americans. The order put these Japanese American descendants in the North Portland Livestock Pavilion, desert camps, and labor camps. Yasui did not feel good about this. He did not like this. He saw this as a dictatorship and he did not support it. He felt that it was wrong and he felt that he needed to stand up for it. So the way Yasui stood up for it was by resisting. The way Yasui resisted was by breaking curfew laws. Again, there was an 8. You had to be back in home, not walking in the streets by 8. If you broke this law, you were going to be arrested. So Yasui broke this law more than once, and he was purposely wanting to get himself arrested. He would refuse to report for evacuations, which also led to arrest. He served 9 months in solidarity, took his case to court and lost. While not following the rules, he was still ordered to report for active duty. When it came to having to go buy his train ticket to go report to this duty, he was denied a purchase because he was Japanese. He showed his birth certificate. He showed anything possible to show that he was a U.S. citizen, and they denied his purchase. With him breaking the curfew law, he was sentenced to a year in prison and got a $5,000 fine. What led up to this was he was in Portland. He was walking past 8. He called the Portland police, the FBI, and told them, you know what? I'm going to be walking. What are you guys going to do about it? I'm going to be walking out past 8 p.m. What are you going to do about it? That was on March 28th, 1942. He saw a police officer. He, begged this police officer to arrest him, and, the officers, the military, they knew what his goal was. They knew who Yasui was, They weren't going to let him fool. They weren't going to be fooled that easy. Um, sorry. So once he did this, the police officer didn't stand for it and told him to, go home. I'm not arresting you, go home. So yeah, what Yasui did was he went to go turn himself in to the police station, and he got arrested, but he was bailed out a couple days later. So he was looking to get arrested. Yasui was looking to get arrested to see what if the military would single out specific groups of the U.S. citizens based on their, you know, ancestries, descendants. Um, and yeah, he was arrested, but while being in jail for the year that he was in there for, he was not allowed to do a lot of basic hygiene for long periods of time. Um, these some of these were showering, shaving, cutting his hair, being able to clip his fingernails and toenails. He was just overall mistreated in jail. So going back to the rhetoric usages that stood out to me was, what was he arguing? On page 306, Yosui talks about an experience he had with an 18-year-old Japanese American boy, just like him. Yasui had gone to the federal coronational institution, and this 18-year-old boy was being held. He was arrested, being held. He was being indicted, and had a pending trial on him, simply because he was refusing to register and to conform to the draft board orders. Yasui felt the need to speak up to this boy and tell him, "Hey, you're 18. Don't ruin your life. Just register, follow orders, because this can affect you in the long run. You can have a criminal record, and it'll affect you for the rest of your life, and you don't want that. Just do it. Just do what you got to do." The boy responded by saying that, "Why should I? Why should I do this if the government has taken our rights and treated us like criminals? They lock us up. They don't care. Why should I have to do them this favor if they're going to do this to me?" He adds that his father was taken away, his mother and sister were in concentration camps, and he finished the statement off by, well, his argument by saying that, "I'd feel like going out to fight for my country, but this country is treating us worse than shit." Which leads to my next point. Yasui felt that on all kinds of levels because he did not support what his country was doing, and he was not going to support the decisions that his country was doing or making. Um, they were both born and raised in the United States, citizens with the same rights as any other American citizens. They were being stripped away of these rights simply because they were Japanese Americans and not just simply Americans or white, essentially. He argues that the idealistic principles of democracy matter. And as a U.S. citizen who was born and raised and got his education, became a lawyer, he had all the right. He is advocating for himself and those like him who are constantly being silenced. And I just think, I just saw this as him being a true activist, standing up for what he thought was right. How does he sound? So by this I mean aesthetically. I really enjoyed reading his article while being so angry and facing all these challenges. He was still so positive. So on November 30th, 1942, he expressed to his sister, oh, sorry, in the articles, he uses letters that he wrote to his sister, Yuka Yasui. So on November 30th, 1942, he wrote to his sister and expressed in a letter that he was proud to be an American citizen. He expressed how proud he was of both of his parents for being good citizens and raising two children to follow their steps. Um, Going more on this, he also stated on page 307, other things that, I have lived, believed, worked, and aspired as an American. With all due respect to this honorable court and all good conscience, I can say that I have never and will never voluntarily give up my American citizenship. He also says, I am confident that I can establish in law and in fact that I am an American citizen. And adding to how proud that he was about his parents being good American citizens, he says that he just wanted to be seen as a worthy son of a worthy father. That worthy father being a good American citizen, and he just wanted to follow his father's steps, and he sure did. He became a lawyer. He got his education in the United States. He learned the language, he learned the culture, while still being able to learn his Japanese culture, represent them. And yeah, so the choice that of words that he used in his article put them together very beautifully. While going through one of the toughest times in his life, being separated from his family, not accepted, ripped away from his rights, mistreated all around, he still found it in his heart to be proud to be not only American, not only Japanese, but both. Um, and yeah, the words that he used in his paper, he sounded angry and sad, but again in the most calmest way possible. He was brave for resisting and turning himself in, proud to be both American and Japanese. And he used the opportunities that he was given, the very few opportunities that he was given, actually, his knowledge, competence, and his rights. And he found it the most respectful way to fight for his rights, break the law for his people and for his rights and their rights. So how is this shaped by human motives? Um, So Yasui shaped this article through his own personal experiences. If not all of those experiences through this period of time that he faced were extremely difficult and depressing, but while it was a challenging journey, he never stopped fighting for what he thought was right. If he felt that it was wrong, he stood on it and he let no one tell him otherwise. The only excuse he had was when he had to find another way to prove his point because he wasn't being heard, taken seriously, and not being treated fairly or respectfully. So the picture I chose to represent Yasui is this picture, the black sheep of the herd. So while being born and raised in the U.S., a U.S. citizen, um, having a multicultural background, his race, his physical features being different, it led him to being mistreated, misunderstood, unheard. But even facing all of these challenges, he stood out. He is the black sheep. He stood out. um, he did everything in his power to fight, speak up, and make a change, not only for himself, but for the other sheeps like him, for the other black sheeps that are like him, the sheeps representing that U.S. citizens, no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter your physical features, no matter the many cultural background, multicultural background, no matter the language that you speak or don't speak, he was a U.S. citizen. He had all the right, and all his rights were being revoked. He was being misjudged, treated poorly, and overall, he was just really trying to prove a point. He was trying to act on his point, making him a very, very good activist. Um, yeah, so nothing could stop him, no matter the differences, and I think this picture represents him well. So yeah, thank you.